Please subscribe the channel and hit the like button. Russian sources claim that Russian forces made territorial gains and conducted offensive operations near Kupyansk and Svatove on July 13. A Russian milblogger claimed that Russian forces cut off Ukrainian ground lines of communication, GLOCs, in an unspecified area along the N26 Chuhuiv-Mylove highway, which passes through Kupyansk and Svatove. Russian sources claim that fighting continued in Novoselivske and that the front line now runs along the Novoselivske railway. Another Russian milblogger claimed that Ukrainian forces counterattacked near the forest belt in the vicinity of the Novoselivske railway line and that Russian forces conducted offensive operations south of Novoselivske and near the Novoselivske railway. A Russian milblogger indicated that elements of the Russian 27th Separate Guards Motorized Rifle Brigade, 1st Guards Tank Army, Western Military District, are fighting in the Novoselivske area. Russian sources also claimed Russian forces conducted ground attacks near Kuzemivka. Russian milbloggers claimed that Russian advances in this area would create conditions for Russian forces to partially encircle Novoselivske and develop further attacks towards Stelmakhivka. Ukrainian military officials reported that Russian offensive operations near Novoselivske were unsuccessful. However, Russian and Ukrainian forces engaged in positional battles near Kreminna on July 13. The Russian Ministry of Defense, MOD, claimed that Ukrainian forces unsuccessfully attacked Russian positions near Dybrova, 4 kilometers southwest of Kreminna, and Kreminna. 64. Former Luhansk People's Republic, LNR, ambassador to Russia Rod Ion Myroshnik claimed that Russian forces engaged with Ukrainian forces in the Kreminna and Serebryansk forestry areas. A Russian milblogger claimed that Russian forces continued assault operations near Torsky. Another milblogger indicated that medical personnel of the 74th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade, 41st Combined Arms Army, Central Military District, operated in the Torsky direction. Ukrainian military officials reported that Russian forces conducted unsuccessful offensive actions east of Nevsk, east of Terny, and near Bilohorivka. Former Russian officer Igor Gherkin claimed that Russian forces continued attacks west of Kreminna and Svatove in an effort to pull Ukrainian reserves to the Luhansk Oblast frontline from their positions in the Bakhmut area. A Ukrainian official observed that Russian forces are accumulating a powerful grouping of forces in the Kupyansk and Lyman, west of Kreminna, directions. Cherevity stated that Russian forces are concentrating airborne, VDV, forces, unspecified infantry formations, BARs, Russian Combat Army Reserve, units, territorial defense elements, small private military companies, PMC, like Veterany PMC, and Storm Z assault groups on the Luhansk Oblast frontline. Cherevity also identified that Chechen units are operating near Svatove but noted that these forces are carrying out purely policing tasks. Ukrainian forces conducted ground attacks and reportedly advanced around Bakhmut on July 13. The Ukrainian General Staff and Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar reported that Ukrainian forces continue counteroffensive operations north and south of Bakhmut and advanced on Bakhmut's southern flank. Ukrainian Eastern Group of Forces spokesperson Colonel Serhiy Cherevity reported that Ukrainian forces have the initiative around Bakhmut and are advancing to new positions in unspecified heights. The Russian Ministry of Defense, MOD, claimed that elements of the Russian Southern Group of Forces repelled Ukrainian attacks near Vasil. Footage published on July 13 purportedly shows elements of the 3rd Assault Detachment of the 137th Guards Airborne, VDV, Regiment, 106th Guards VDV Division, repelling a Ukrainian attack in the Soledar direction. Russian milbloggers claimed that Russian forces repelled Ukrainian forces from heights near Klishchivka. Russian milbloggers also claimed that Ukrainian forces conducted attacks near Kuzemivka, 13 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, and Andrivka, 10 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, and that fighting is ongoing near Berkivka. Russian forces conducted limited ground attacks around Bakhmut on July 13. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces repelled all Russian attacks near Berkivka. Cherevity reported that unspecified Chechen formations are operating near Klishchivka in an internal security capacity with no combat value. A Russian milblogger claimed that unit of the 106th Guards VDV division is placing mines in areas near Bakhmut every night and can install over 400 mines in 2 hours. Footage published on July 13 purportedly shows elements of the 4th Motorized Rifle Brigade operating in the Bakhmut direction. Ukrainian and Russian forces continue to conduct ground attacks along the Avdiivka-Donetsk city line on July 13. Geolocated footage published on July 11 shows that Ukrainian forces recently made limited advances north of Krasnohorivka. The Russian MOD claimed that Russian forces repelled Ukrainian attacks near Krasnohorivka, Severn, Marinka, and Novoselivske. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces repelled Russian attacks near Avdiivka, Kuzemivka, and Marinka. Prominent Russian milblogger and former Russian officer Igor Girkin claimed that Storm Z assault units continue to attack in the direction of the Avdiivka industrial zone. Footage published on July 12 and 13 purportedly shows elements of the 10th Tank Regiment operating in the Avdiivka direction and elements of the 33rd Motorized Rifle Regiment of the 20th Motorized Rifle Division operating in the Marinka direction. Ukrainian forces reported conducting limited offensive operations in western Donetsk Oblast on July 13. A Russian source claimed that Russian forces repelled a Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group north of Volodymyrivka. Ukrainian forces continued counteroffensive operations in the Donetsk-Zaporizhia Oblast's border area on July 13. The Russian Ministry of Defense, MOD, claimed that Russian forces repelled 2 Ukrainian ground attacks near Rivnopil and Novodonetsk. Other Russian sources claimed that Ukrainian forces additionally attacked near Pryatyn, Makarivka, and Staromayorsk. Russian sources claimed that Ukrainian forces have increased the intensity of offensive activity in the Donetsk-Zaporizhia Oblast's border area and that fighting in that area is becoming attritional. Ukrainian forces continued counteroffensive operations and made some gains in western Zaporizhia Oblast as of July 13. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian operations in the Novodanilivka Shiroka Baka and Mala Tokmachkanovo Pokrovka directions were partially successful. A prominent Russian milblogger claimed that Ukrainian forces captured a position of the Russian 71st Motorized Rifle Regiment northeast of Robotyne. The Russian MOD claimed that Russian forces repelled Ukrainian attacks near Robotyne, however. Russian milbloggers also claimed that Russian forces repelled Ukrainian ground attacks along the Pytykakki-Zarabayanki line. Russian milbloggers claimed that Ukrainian forces maintain a limited presence in east, left, Bank Kherson Oblast as of July 13. The Russian milbloggers claimed that Russian artillery fire prevents Ukrainian forces from reinforcing or resupplying the grouping near the N26 Bridge in East Bank Kherson Oblast.